Please welcome the brilliant and mysterious MyAnna viewing. Well, I think that's yours if you would have it. Imagine these comfy chairs. Look at that.
How fancy. Oh, hello. This is quite something like that, isn't it? Can I do that?
We are in the cinema right now.
We're in a cinema. How lovely.
I had the chance to compliment your lovely sneakers, and you told us that it's a 15 years old pair of beauties.
15 years.
And we had the chance to talk about the zero-waste approach.
Well, exactly.
And I know that a lot of social stuff is on your mind all the time. You're not just someone who dare to entertain. There is this interesting substance to your character, which we are really grateful for. How have you been doing these days?
How am I doing, or like, why does this stuff interest me, or?
A bit of both, because like, I don't know, weird times we're living in, and so I know that conscious people, socially conscious people, it's like one and the same. I wake up, but it's not just me, it's everybody. So from this almost like a spiritual, magical square, and I'm just wondering how you are in all of this.
I mean, how are you all doing? I don't know about you. I find it's a mix of things. On the one hand, I feel like a lot of people, I am constantly heartbroken, constantly more terrified than I've been in a long time. But it also crystallizes this feeling I have, which is that throughout all of this, the main thing that we all need to do and hold on to is kindness. If anything is going to see us through, it's kindness. It makes it even more important that we are kind to each other. People that we come across just briefly, that we are kind and that we are not afraid. We're not afraid to call things out that are cruel. We're not afraid to be kind. That's how I am. So I wake up every morning and I sob, and I allow myself to have a sob, and then I get up and I try and support people who are doing work that is incredible. We live in a world where so many people do amazing work, and I do not, but I try and do what I can to support them, and then I try and be kind.
Okay, this is where our dear colleague chip in. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Szóval volt a színpad mellett egy esélyünk beszélni arról, hogy milyen érdekesek, milyen szépek a 15 éves edzőcipőink, és beszéltünk a zero waste megközelítésedről. Hogyan jön ez át a mindennapi életedben? Az a helyzet, hogy igazából kétféle érzés kavarok bennem. Egyfelől folyamatosan a szívem szakad meg, és jobban meg vagyok rémülve, mint valahol korábban. Másrészt viszont úgy gondolom, hogy kikristályosodott, kiegyetesedett egy érzés, hogy kedvesnek kell lennünk egymással. Rengeteg embert ismerek, akik csodálatos munkát végeznek, én nem, én csak megpróbálom megtenni a valamit. És minden esetre azt kell tudnunk, hogy minden reggel az ember föl kell, nem baj, hogyha könnyezik egy kicsit, de utána hiszem tovább menni az életemben.
Okay, we are already practicing our Hungarian.
Hogy vagy? Köszönöm.
You're fantastic.
And a bit of a szívesen, you know?
Szívesen.
All right.
I can take requests.
You mentioned kindness, and it's almost like a magical resource that we have. It changes people the moment we start being kind to each other. And then we have your amazing character and demeanor, and there is this vibe to it. Tell us about your experiences playing on setups where magic is like a constant and very important aspect of what you do. How are you finding yourself in a situation where everything is so unreal?
Well, it's interesting. I've realized I'm an actor who kind of prefers to act in fantasy and magic rather than watch it. I love the magic of the world. I find magic wherever we are. I find this magic. I find this Comic Con magic. So I don't always know that I'm drawn to watch it. But in that genre is incredible, because it's in some ways more extremely. Shall I let you translate that?
No, it's okay, thank you very much. Egy csodálatos, varázslatos személyiséged van, és az a kérdés, hogy ez hogyan sugárzik át a mindennapi életedben. Olyan színész vagyok, aki jobban szeret színészkedni a varázslatos világokban, és inkább nem nézni azt. Azt gondolom, hogy a mindennapi életünkben is rengeteg mágia van, a Comic-Con is varázslatos, és mégis színészkedés esetében jobban vonzódom ezekhez.
So, and because when in the fantasy genre, I find, for me anyway, more than a lot of other genres, the work of the set designers, the costume, the hair, the special effects departments, the stunt teams, is so much more extreme than, say, in a regular drama. You know, like Downton Abbey is amazing, but I feel that you see that, or maybe Downton Abbey is a bad example, because actually period work is really incredible. But say like a modern day drama, of course all of those departments are doing amazing work, but it's much more subtle. Whereas in the fantasy genre, the work of all of those departments is, you see it. It is extraordinary. I mean, and that's why people love it, right? The costumes, getting into it every morning, having your hair done and suddenly you're transformed. You walk onto these sets and then they are literally built. So you're walking in and it is magic. It's extraordinary. They've built these cavernous, you know, like the Aretusa buildings, you know, amazing, where suddenly they've created these sort of like lakes, and it's unbelievable. And then they add the lighting to it, and it's magic. So I mean, I find myself in these positions by pure luck. That's how I've ended up there. And I find myself constantly, after 20 plus years of doing this, amazed by the skill. And also, again, coming back to your first point, it's a constant reminder of what can happen when groups of people come together and work, do their very, very best, and they come together, they can produce magic. And if that's not a metaphor for how we can all live every single day, if we all come together and do our very, very best, we can all create magic.
És a varázslat, leginkább ezért szeretem a fantasyben stílusban megjelenni ezt, mert ellentétben mondjuk egy modern drámával, ahol a díszletezők és a különleges effektusok szakemberei rengeteget dolgoznak, de ez sokkal kevésbé nyilvánvaló, míg a fantasyben ezt látod, és amikor hozzáadják a kosztümöt, a hajat, és az ember átalakul, akkor egészen a másik világban érzem magam. És azt érzem több mint 20 év munka után, hogy egészen szerencsés vagyok, hogy ebben a világban életek és dolgozhatom, másrészt pedig az az érdekes, hogy ezek az emberek együtt dolgozva hoznak létre valami varázslatosak, és ez egy csodálatos metafora a mi életünkre is. És nagyon belege van.
Alright, what we're having here is a couple of recognizable Witcher fans, right?
Yes. So talking about magic, there's some beautiful human beings here in the front row that I recognize because we have met before. And am I right? You guys met because you were fans of The Witcher, am I correct? So this group of people, you have all connected from all different countries, and you come together at Comic Cons, but you stay in touch in between. You've now become like a friendship network for each other. Magic!
Could we have these guys stand up for just a moment? Please? Come on, just for just a moment. This is the reason why we're actually doing this, because you guys are absolutely the best.
Yeah, you are. Good. You are the best. My goodness, so lovely to see you.
So, in a positive sense of word, being a member of a tribe,
yeah,
belonging to a community,
yeah,
sisterhood, brotherhood. I know that you tend to have a strong sense of feeling when it comes to womanhood, when it comes to just. There's a lot of. Let me rephrase it. Sorry.
Yeah,
there's like a lot of tough talk about strong female characters, and there is a lot of discussion about how people and fans appreciate these characters, and then there's a lot of like negative hate talk about strong female characters. What is your impression about all of this, and how important it is for you to be vocal about how strong female characters should be represented?
It's interesting because this question, I realize I've been asked this question now for, I think it's 20 years. So the fact that it's still something that we are talking about now, I find really interesting, and I think my thinking on it has kind of maybe changed a bit. So my answer nowadays is this, and it ties back beautifully to everything you've said. We as human beings, no matter what gender, no matter the colour of our skin, no matter where we are born, no matter our sexual preferences, there is much more that is similar between all of us than different. We all have been... Do you want to do that one and then I'll carry on?
You wrote it out, this is so important.
Yeah, okay.
You can translate it later.
We all have been brought up in systems, in social structures, which have told us again and again that one gender, one tribe, one type of person is more important than another, and we all have. And those structures affect. We always talk about who they like. The view of women, how that affects women. But the truth is, and we all know this, and this is now being talked about a bit more, which is great, it affects all of us. It affects our men, it affects our boys, it affects our girls that we're raising, it affects all of us. Every time we focus on the differences between us and the reasons why we should, to come back to your storytelling, we are still writing stories through a male gaze. Yes, it's changing, but it's very slow, and of course they're great. I can't complain. I have played amazing characters, and yes, we can talk about them being strong female characters. I think the more interesting thing is that they're characters that are three-dimensional, but we're still writing a lot of stories where the female is the mother, the girlfriend, the virgin, the impossible of female ideals that we can never live up to. But we also have a lot of stories where we have really three-dimensional characters who happen to be women. So, I think we need to be more and more aware of it, more and more aware that these structures exist, have existed, and they still exist, and we're all affected by them. And we need to see it through a lens of, instead of just fighting for like stronger female roles, we need to fight for all of us to stop these barriers that we keep putting between us. We are so much more similar to all our other human fellow members on this earth. So the stories that concentrate on characters and what it is to be human are the interesting ones. We need to pay attention to the fact that how we represent gender and how we represent sexuality and how we represent people from different places. Because if we are not telling all of our stories, all of us are suffering.
Szóval a kérdés az, hogy rengeteg erős női karakterrel hozták összefüggésbe. Mi a véleménye arról, hogy az erős női karaktereket egyesek értékelik, mások pedig rengeteg valamiért utálják őket? Ezt a kérdést körülbelül azóta teszik fel nekem, amióta az iparban vagyok, de kb. 20 éve. Ami azt jelenti, hogy ez mindig érdekes és mindig fontos téma, amivel beszélnünk kell. de azt vettem észre, hogy az elmúlt időszakban változott a véleményem róla. Most azt gondolom, hogy teljesen mindegy, hogy milyen neműek vagyunk, milyen színű a bőrünk, milyenek a szexuális preferenciáink, sokkal több minden a hasonlókhoz több, mint a különböző. És azt tudjuk, hogy azt gondoljuk, hogy mindannyiunkat bizonyos rendszerekben, társadalmi rendszerekben neveltek fel, ami valamiért azt gondolja, hogy egy nem, vagy egy törzsnek kell uralkodni a többiek felett. És ez nem csak a nőket, ez nem csak a nőkre hat, bár rájuk leginkább, de hatással van a férfiainkra, a gyerekeinkre, az, hogy neveljük őket. És az, hogyha a különbségeinkre fókuszálunk, a hasonlóságaink helyett, az mindenkinek szenvedést okoz. És bár a történetek, amiket mostanában mesélünk, egyre inkább változnak, és nem csak férfi nézőpontból vizsgálnak meg embereket, hanem történeteket, hanem egyre inkább női szempontból is, de a változás nagyon-nagyon lassú, ami azt jelenti, hogy foglalkoznunk kell ezzel továbbra is. És nem is az a fontos, hogy erős női karakter legyen, hanem legyen egy háromdimenziós, érthető, átérezhető karakter, aki esetleg úgy esik, hogy nőből van. Azt kell tennünk, annyit tehetünk, hogy odafigyelünk erre, és a történetmeséléseinkben is erre fókuszálunk. Mert az a fontos, hogy arra fókuszáljunk, hogy mi az, ami összeköt minket, és nem az, ami szétválaszt.
Thank you for the socio-cultural deep dive, but right now let's talk about the vision. Talk about the universe, talk about experiences. I think one of the most important situation and aspect of an interview such as this is that we have a chance to just get some juicy behind the scenes stuff that you share with Budapest Comic Con. Tell me about the day when it was just like the biggest fun of it all, when you were on stage and it was like both from a cast member experience, as an actress experience, as a member of a fantasy world experience, but it was just the biggest fun of it all.
God, there's so many that spring to mind. Interestingly, a lot of them, this is weird, because I would have thought it would have been, okay, so I'll give you a few. The first one that springs to mind was in series 1. One when we were, was it the Canary Islands we were on, I think? And I remember we had been filming out on this beautiful beach, and then, you know, this amazing scenery, and then we were sitting having lunch with this, you know, stunning view. And I remember all of us looking around at each other going, this is our life, like what? And then I remember from season 3, the ball sequence. Because we were told, when Lenny, the director, he had said very early on, he said, look, you may not be in the scene a lot, but you're gonna have to be in every single day, because I'm gonna do this as like a roaming shot. So we were, for the first time ever, because often we're a bit like ships in the night passing, you kind of miss cast members and you don't really see them, but for this and the battle, we were in every single day. So one, we got to hang out, one, we got to sort of spend time with each other and catch up, which was great. But it was just magical. And I remember, like, everyone was complaining, their feet were hurting, they were sweating, they were hot, we weren't allowed to sit down. But it was also magic, because we were in this amazing set, which was built and then it was broken down. I felt like it was like this epitome of a Witcher moment, like what Witcher the TV series was all about, like huge cast, huge sets, huge scenes falling apart, and because we all got to be there and experience it together, it's really like etched itself in my mind as something really special.
Szóval tudsz esetleg megosztani valamit velünk, ami a függő mögött történt a Witcher forgatása során? Ami mondjuk olyan, amikor legjobban érezted magad. Két elemét eszembe, az egyik az első évadban, amikor a Kanári-szigeteken forgattunk, és egy csodálatos látvány volt, aztán pedig vacsoráztunk, és azon gondolkodtunk a többi stábtaggal, hogy úristen, ez az életünk, itt ülünk a tengerparton, csodálatos. A A másik pedig, amikor a harmadik évadban a bál és csatajelenetet forgattuk, akkor azt mondta a rendező, hogy ugyan nem leszel benne a jelenetben sokat, de mindennek meg kell lenned, mert ilyen a forgatás menete. És bár általában a beosztás úgy működik, hogy az ember elmegy a többi státor mellett, nem is találkoznak egymással. De az a helyzet, hogy akkor, amikor itt kellett lennünk mindannyiunknak, persze szenvedtünk, melegünk volt, nem ülhettünk le és így tovább, de ugyanakkor az, hogy mindannyian ott voltunk, az megint csak bármilyen varázslatos volt.
So we had a chance to talk about the nature and material part of such a huge set. But before that we were talking about community. Could you tell us a story where it was really all about people that you've been working with, getting into a closer relationship? Any member of the cast that you had a deeper connection and felt like that this is a deeply humane experience to have, to work together, to transform together, to change together?
Well, then I'm going to tell you about the day I fell in love with Eamon Farron. Eamon and my stories did not connect, so we didn't really meet at all, I think, in series 1. And in series 2, I remember it was just before lockdown as well. We were filming the opening scene to series 2, which was when Tisea is going around feeling all the bodies and the memories of all the fallen, to see if she can find where Yennefer is. My brain forgot. And we're doing that scene, and then Eamon was supposed to sort of like run past and just kind of like stop, do this kind of stop. But it was written very simply in the script. Me and Eamon hadn't really met. We'd sort of shot a bit of my stuff in the morning, and then we had a break. And I remember I was sitting on the edge of this forest in a tent, and Eamon Farron was there, and it took me about 2 minutes, and I was like, Eamon, yeah, hello, la la la, da, la. And I suddenly went, oh, you are amazing, because he is. He is like sunshine, like a human sunshine. And I was sort of completely taken aback, and I went, wow, you are extraordinary. How have I not come across you at all? So this happened, and then we finished filming my little bit, and I went up and I think I spoke to Henry, and I think Freya was on a horse, if I remember correctly, and then Eamon was supposed to run behind us and do this stop, simple little thing. And this man that I had just now fallen in love with ran through, did this stop, and I swear it was electric. All of us who were there in that scene, you know, we'd been doing a little acting bit, and then he's supposed to come through. But sometimes when an actor does, it's like so connected in a moment, it feels like magic on set. You can feel the vibrations. And Eamon did this simple little move, did this stop right in front of the camera, really understanding where the camera was, and you could feel it. We were outside, and you could feel it, this do-do-do-do-do of this human. And I was like, ah, he's not only sunshine, but he's one of the best actors I've ever come across. And yeah, that's the day I fell in love with Eamon Farron, so there you go.
Volt olyan pillanat a forgatások során, amikor úgy érezte, hogy igazán egy közösségbe tartozik valakivel. Én akkor elmondom azt a napot, amikor Eamon Farronnel estem szerelembe. Az első évadban nem nagyon találkoztunk, mert a életeink nem találkoztak. A második évadban az éppen az volt a téma, hogy keressük azt, hogy hol van Yennefer. És Eamonnek annyi volt a dolga, hogy elfusson mellettünk, majd megáll. Ültünk kint, valami erdőszélen, egy sátorban, ránéztem Eamonre, és azt úgy éreztem, hogy úristen, csodálatos meg. Mert egy igazi napsugár, egy meleg, egy kedves, egy csodálatos ember. És azon gondolkodtam, hogy nem találkoztunk korábban. A lényeg az, hogy volt egy pont, amikor beszélgetünk, bújtok valahol, és forgattuk a jelenetet. Eamon elrohant mellettünk, és megállt, pontosan érezve azt, hogy hol van a kamera. És vannak ilyen pillanatok, amikor az egész olyan, mintha elektromosság fut át rajtunk, mintha éreznénk a jelenet rezgéseit, és ez egy pont ilyen dolog volt. elképesztően csodálatos élmény volt ezt megtapasztalni. Mágia.
All right, everybody. 10 minutes on the clock, which means it's time for you to shine and ask your questions. Katsi and Co is really eager to rush out there, meet you in the crowd, hand you a mic, and there you have it. All right, that one gentleman, he promised us that he's going to ask a question, so there you go.
Hi.
Hi.
So I think you're one of those actors who can express deep emotions with just one glance or a one-liner. You showed signs of this multiple times in The Witcher.
I'm going to actually come down so I can hear you properly. Go for it.
Hi, sorry. So I think you're one of those actors who could express deep emotions with just one glance or a one-liner.
Made me blush. Who paid you? Was it a lot?
No one. That was the guy. No one. So you showed signs of this multiple times in The Witcher. So I was just wondering, where can we expect to see you do that next?
Thank you very much, first of all. Do I need to be here for you, cameras? Can you, that okay? Is this okay for you? Yeah, thanks so much for the compliments. I'll take them, thank you. I've got to get better at doing that. The next thing, I'm trying to think what's been out because I don't know what comes out. I've got a few things coming out next year that I'm not allowed to talk about, but I'm kind of excited about it. I had an amazing time filming, so when I can talk about it, I will. Unforgotten is a English TV show that it's a really beautiful crime show actually, written by this very, very clever man called Chris Lang, about detectives who dig up cold cases, and I played a character in that, and that came out earlier this year in the UK, so that may be out. That's called Unforgotten, and I think we were on series 4, or maybe even 5, on that. So that you can watch. What else is coming out? Lost Breath just came out, which was a film, which is based on a true story, kind of amazing. That recently came out, and then I'm just about to go, later on this year, I'm going to be filming a small film that's produced by buddies of mine actually, who I knew like way back when I started working, like in my 20s, and we were all kind of like trying to make film and running around London trying to like make it happen. And he turned around and said, would you do this film? So I'm going to start filming with them. I think August I'll start, so I'll be doing that. And I'm not sure how quickly, but I've got a feeling they might turn that around quite quickly. Which is kind of nice for me because it's been a while since I've done a film that I'm in quite a lot. So that will come out. And then I think that's it. I mean, I'm so perimenopausal now, so I can't remember anything. So I may have missed stuff, and forgive me if I have, but yeah.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, I know. Listen.
Thank you.
Age, it happens to all of us.
All right, time for our next question.
All right. Do you want to be in it? You sure?
Hi.
Oh, hi.
I'm so sorry.
No worries. Hello.
Hi. First of all, I wanted to just tell you that I really liked your performance as Tisea on The Witcher. So
Thank you.
And my question was, you said you like working on fantasy sets, and my question was maybe how different or how similar your experience was on Twilight, which was like way back, and maybe today or like these days. Thank you.
Thank you. I think in a lot of ways, like things haven't changed. So my experience on Twilight, the difference I think with Twilight and The Witcher in some ways was maybe me. because I was a lot younger then. I had never done a big franchise like that. I mean, before Twilight, I'd sort of done bits and pieces here and there. I'd done The Descent, and then I was sort of doing bits and pieces here and there, and out of the blue, I got Twilight, which was at the time like the biggest franchise out there. And I remember being struck by how similar it was to everything else, and that the job itself is exactly the same. But like with Twilight and like with The Witcher, the big thing is like the costumes, the worlds that are built around them. So yeah, I think the biggest difference is the size of the sets and the kinds of costumes you're wearing and the kind of intricacy of that. But the biggest real difference was me.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I believe we still have time for one more question, ladies and gentlemen.
Who's it gonna be? Oh, look.
Thank you. Hello. So,
Hello.
My question is, what is the similar personality things in you and your character in Witcher? What do you think?
Interesting. I mean, there's an element where, especially when you play a character for a longer time, that there's always going to be a part of you in every character. That's kind of like, and I also think now, I realize me as a fan, when I'm watching stuff, it's kind of what I'm watching for. I'm watching a character channeled through an actor that I find interesting or fascinating, and it's impossible, and that's why, you know, these characters become iconic for us, because they're channeled through that particular person. So there's always a bit of you in everyone that you play. But I think with Tisea, I think playing her for so long, I think when I started playing Tisea, I was like, she's very different to me. She is cold, where I'm silly and bubbly and, you know, a bit goofy. She's like poised and has this regalness that I've never had. But yeah, exactly. But the longer I played her, I think the most similar thing was her kind of motherly qualities, her desire to look after and to help people and to support people. I think that was probably our most similar quirk. And I find that every time I play a character for a long time, they always, and maybe it's because the character has this written into them, or maybe it's because I make it so, I don't know, but they always have a really strong moral compass. Like that's always, they have a really strong moral compass that I admire. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I can imagine the quickest question and the quickest answer ever.
Okay, here we go.
This is gonna be like a quickie.
Okay, a quickie, here we go.
Okay, thank you very much, Comic Con, for let me ask the short question. So, every actor's career has a role which is changing the whole career.
Yeah.
Which role was it, and how did it change your career? And I'd like to remind you that you have a very short time to answer.
Okay, actually there's a few, so I'll say them really quickly. The Descent changed my career because it was my first film, and it completely changed my life, friendships-wise, and also it gave me a footing in. Twilight completely changed my life because suddenly I was in, I got into casting rooms that I would never have got into otherwise. And then thirdly, there was a play that I did where I played Marina Lebenyenka, and that completely changed my life. I'm a different person because of it.
All right, thank you. The thing is, MyAnna, you're so amazing right now that the producers decided to give you 3 more minutes. Is that possible?
Yeah,
like
3 more minutes, questions?
Can we roll out another question? I believe some of you guys are lining up for that experience.
Amazing. Thanks, producers. I'm flattered.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. I wanted to ask, what was the most difficult psychological part in playing Tisea for you?
Oh, do you know what? Actually, this is what I did find very difficult. I found the sort of, the politics, I found that really psychologically difficult because the sort of, her care for Artusa, her kind of, her impulses to protect it, to look after Yennefer, like, I kind of understood that. But sometimes in some of the political scenes, with the Brotherhood or, you know, with the different kings and queens, I just didn't understand her choices. They felt so, it felt like she was playing the power game where she was like, I'm gonna do this because it may end up here. But I just thought the choices were ridiculous. Like I would read it and be like, I don't get it. I cannot understand the actual logic of this. And, you know, I would sort of think, okay, maybe it's a kind of politics nowadays in the general world. You know, maybe that's what we're all doing. But I don't think I will ever be able to psychologically understand grown human beings not being able to sit down in front of each other and go, this is hard, let's sit and talk. Instead, they sit in front of each other and they lie. Never understood it. So that for me was the hardest.
Thank you for all the amazing questions, Anna. Thank you so much for being here. Let's hear it for her one more time. Come on, Budapest Comic Con. You have been
Thank you so much to you as well. I really appreciate it.